morning. I gotta share this with you guys. So I was just at the stoplight back there, and as I was kind of daydreaming and looking around at, you know, the fields and stuff that I was by, I glanced, the light turned green, and I glanced down at the car in front of me, and in the back window of the car in front of me was a farming biker sticker. Then it was just like, huh, I don't know who they are, but it was kind of neat to see. But at any rate, I'm on my way out to where I was working ground yesterday and got rained out. I want to see how much rain they got. We got 2 tenths at the farm, and I want to see if they've got more or less rain or about the same as we did, because I don't feel I'm going to be working ground today, but with the sun out and the warm temperatures, I may be able to get into the field and at least run rock buckets, because every single field I busted open needs some rock bucketing done to it. And also I want to look at the corn, because the corn, that field that I just passed that I planted first, is popped up out of the ground. So we'll see if the cornfield I planted last, basically a day later, is out. Look at, we've got corn rows. My corn's popping up in rows. You guys know that song. It actually looks pretty good. I'm happy. It looks like it has good singulation. I do see where it planted like doubles in a few spots. There's a few missed spots here and there, but it's not the end of the world. There's good spacing in between the plants. I'm actually impressed. Like right here, it missed. You got corn. Should be one here, but there's not. Right here is a double. I'd say the planter's doing a decent job. It kind of makes me feel good, because it was a used planter and I'm still learning it, and this was one of the first fields I planted with it to see how well it works. So I'm happy with it, real happy with it. All right, just met with our agronomist. The very first field I planted, there was a miscommunication on the fertilizer and the fertilizer rate and how it was applied, things like that. So the very first field I planted, I applied the wrong starter fertilizer to the plants, and luckily enough, I did not apply the rate that the agronomist wanted me to apply. Right out of the gate, I thought that was too high. I kept everything I was reading online, it just seemed high to me. And I couldn't apply that rate anyway, because of the fact that the fertilizer system that's on our planters is a low volume rate, or low rate fertilizer pump. If we had the high rate fertilizer for the higher flow, then we would have been able to apply the amount of liquid fertilizer that the agronomist was telling me. Lucky enough, the planters wouldn't plant that amount, so we put on like half of what he wanted us to put on, which that saved us in the long run. But anyway, the fertilizer that we put on was too strong of a fertilizer, and it could burn the seed as it was growing. The very first field I planted was questionable. We were sure if we were going to have to replant it or not. So we got everything in line to replant if we had to replant. He was just out, looked at the field, and the field's got a good stand to it. He dug up some plants. It doesn't look like right now we're going to have to replant it. It looks like it'll be fine. We may have gotten lucky on that one. But he said he wants to check it in a couple weeks. Well, I've been not switching this over to soybeans because of the fact that I might have to replant corn. So now that he's saying he wants to check it in a couple weeks, I'm kind of out of time of sitting here waiting. So now I'm going to switch the planter over to soybeans, and everything I'm reading online says that could take 3 or 4 hours. So I'm going to get the corn seed cleaned out of it for one, because we don't need corn seed in there, and then start switching it over to soybeans. And hopefully, if Mother Nature allows us, we can start planting some soybeans here in the next couple days. But I don't know. They're talking rain, like there's a chance of rain every other day for the next week and a half. So we'll see. So I'm going to start working on that. Now I'll kind of show you guys how we have to do it. Okay, I had to change my glasses because, well, we're inside. I'm going to show you or walk you through the steps of what I got to do to change these planters over to planting soybeans. I might not necessarily physically show you, but I'm gonna like do some steps here to kind of walk it through with you. But hang on, let me set a couple things up so it makes it faster for you. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is all these little doors right here. I'm gonna open those doors and catch what little bit of seed that's in this tank in a bucket or and put them in a bag. That way all the seed in the tanks get drained out first. Then I come down to the row units here, and I already set this up so you guys can see. John Deere makes this nifty little tray. It just hooks in right there, so when you pull this corn plate out, then this little hopper here has got corn seed in it, and that all drains out down through here, comes out the bottom here and into the tray. So first thing I'm going to do when I get to the row units is I pop the corn plate out. See that little tube? So that part is empty. This little yellow tank is empty. The meter itself is empty now. All the corn seed is right here. And then I have to change this plate. This is a corn plate. I have to put a soybean plate in there. And that also, before I put the plate in, this brush right here, that's a corn brush. I have to change the brushes on that and put in a soybean brush. And then this is what they call a knocker wheel. I have to change that wheel and put on the soybean. It's like a wedge, a bar. In fact, the back, I'll show you what the soybean setup looks like. Hang on a minute. Okay, the back row here is soybean ready. But that's a soybean brush. And then this that's what I'm going to put where that knocker wheel is at. But at any rate, you kind of get the gist there. So it's a little time consuming because you got to go through, and I only have to change 16 rows because this planter plants 16 rows of corn. I only have to change the 16 rows of corn over to soybeans, but on all these upper rows, they already have the soybean brushes in them, but they do not have the plates in them. And they also have plugs for the vacuum lines and the blower lines. So while this is shut, this yellow plug here has to come off, and that yellow plug there has to come off on all the rows, not just the corn rows. So there's something that needs to be done on all the rows versus just a few rows. You get what I'm saying? Once all that's done, then I have to change the hitch over, and the hitch right here has got 2 holes in it. Beans, corn. I have to pull this pin, move the hitch over the 8 inches or 7, I think that's 7.5 inches for the row spacing. And I know there's a lot of guys that just change that in the computer. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it the proper way. And then after all of that is changed, then you got to go inside the computer up in the cab and change all your settings in your computer. You got to adjust your population. You have to adjust reading 32 rows versus 16 rows. You have to change downforce with the airbags. You have to change, if you're applying liquid fertilizer, you have to change that, which we are not. So I don't have to worry about that. But there's a lot of little tweaks you got to make in the computer as well. But at any rate, you can see where it could take 3 or 4 hours to do it all. But I'm going to start cracking on this, which I guess technically I already started on 1 row, right? The leftover corn that we pull out of the rows, it's not going to get wasted. We're going to use it for like deer food plots, things like that, and basically grow it for the deer to eat. That's what we're going to use the leftover corn seed for, because we can't return that corn seed because it's already been opened and out of the bag. So we're going to put it to use elsewhere. There is one little tidbit that I did pick up from an old timer online. He said, when I remove this plate, label it corn and what row it came out of. Like this came out of row 26. Because of the fact that every row wears differently than every row wears differently as this plate's turning. And if you throw this plate in that row unit, over time the plate will wear down faster because it's not in the exact same row unit that it originally wore down to. And if you look, see the scuff marks on that plate? Those scuff marks are different than these other scuff marks. So as I'm pulling them out, I am noticing they're wearing differently for each row. So you got to kind of listen to the old timers because they've been around a while. They've seen a lot of stuff. They know what they're talking about. So I'm going to do it. I don't know if I necessarily have to do it. I'm sure there's a lot of guys that'll do the, oh, you don't have to worry about that. But at this point, I'm going to listen to the guys that have been around the block a few times. Not to mention, I have physically seen, and you guys seen, the different wear from the different corn rows. I mean, you physically see the difference in wear, so it's one of those things that makes sense to me. All right, I was only able to get half of the seed out of here because of these doors hit that hydraulic lines. So I have to take the planters out, unfold them, open them up in order to drain the rest of the corn seed out of there. But I did get all of the corn seed out of the row units. So every one of those are empty, and I ended up with 1 full bag of corn. That's enough corn to plant 2.5 acres. So I'm assuming with what's left in those big hoppers, there's maybe a half a bag of corn left in there. So a bag and a half of corn left over, it's not too bad. I'm happy with that. That means everything was figured out correctly, and this is planting pretty close to the right population. I'm not gonna lie, this goes together a whole lot faster when you got two hands. Just like that. I just yelled at a delivery driver. He was doing like 100 miles an hour down this road. It's a private road, douchebag. Anyway, I also forgot to tell you guys that these 5 back rows, they're actually locked up in the lockup position for planting corn. So when I'm planting corn, these rows aren't even touching the ground. So I have to unlock them, and they were a pain in the butt to lock up, so I don't know how easily they will unlock. But I got a nifty little tool for that. It's basically a leverage bar. So let's try and unlock these and see how big of a pain in the butt it's going to be. This is definitely a two-handed job here. Maybe a three-handed job. There. You can kind of see the height difference there. All right, I have 8 of the 32 rows ready to plant soybeans. So I have to finish switching over the corn rows, lower down the bean rows in the back, put all the rest of the bean plates in, and then at that point I'm ready to fire the tractor up, back it out, unfold it, you know, get those rows down so I can do those rows up top on both wings, and then finish emptying out the tank. And then it's a matter of switching the hitch around and doing everything in the computer. So the hitch, I don't know how long that's going to be. In the manual, the John Deere planter manual, it says take a strap, wrap a strap through here up to this hook, and lower this down onto these, lower these jack plates down, lower it down, wrap that strap around, pull the bolt out, lift it up with a 3-point, stand on one brake and pull out, blah, 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 and then lower it back down. But this plate here can't be more than 100 pounds. So I'm gonna do the strap thing. I'm probably gonna use a chain and raise it up, and I'm gonna manually move it over by hand, put the bolt in there, and then hook the planters up. I'm guessing. I don't know. That could be something. I don't know. We'll find out about that one. Everything seems to be drying up relatively quickly. So it's 5 o'clock now. I'm gonna go out to the big tractor and see if maybe I can finish up that farm I'm at disking and get the tractor moved to the next farm, because if I can do that, that'd be huge. But we'll see. I don't know if they got more rain than we did or not. Well, as you can see, I was able to plant some, or work some ground, but my battery and my camera died, so you guys are hooked to a tether right now. But we're working ground. It's supposed to rain in the morning at some point, so I think I'm just going to keep working ground until I get tired or it rains or I run out of fuel. You guys remember the tiling job that I did earlier this spring, like several videos ago? Well, this is the field we did the tile in. As you can see, it's as dry as a popcorn fart. I honestly don't know what that means. I just know my grandpa used to say it a lot. I guess I never really paid that close attention to my popcorn farts, but it's really dry. Now, you guys might think I'm crazy here, but look over there, there's lights. I do know that's Mount Holly Ski Resort over there, so maybe they've got some big light show thing going on. I don't know. It's like 10 o'clock at night right now. I ended up getting this this chunk done. It's about, I don't know, 11:30 at night right now. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day. I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go home now. What movie was that from? Alright guys, I'm in the video here, so thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.